So we're moving on with the workbench project. I have my two leg modules glued together, screwed and glued, and they're looking good. Put that in my way. Those are looking good, and next we're going to do the side rails. So the legs are going to mount here and down to the floor in this direction, and the top of the workbench is going to be here in this parallel. So we need some places to mount legs. So what I've done, measured out sort of an arbitrary amount here. So now the legs are 2x4, so 3.5 inches wide. So I'm going to come out here from the end 3.5 inch, and then we're going to go again at 7 inch. That gives us the width of the leg. I'll just speed square that on here, just as a visual. Roughly there and there, so that's where the leg is going to stand. Then on my speed square, I've kind of cheated ahead here and done some half and bolt hole measurements and just penciled them onto the speed square. So we're going to need a couple of holes here, roughly in the middle, for carriage bolts. So these are great, these are cool things. What they do is they don't have a hex head or anything to get a wrench on. They have this square shank bit up here that'll bite in to a hole in your wood and keep it from turning while you tighten the other end with your nut. So I'm going to go this through here and then through the leg, and then bolt the leg to the side rail, probably also gluing. Let me just grab a markup on this here, write something quick like, right quick in a hurry, sort of roughly center my center. Speed square, great, nice cheap plastic, probably home hardware or something. So that's roughly my middle. Looks a little off on that side. Let me see. Yeah, it's a touch. We'll come a little. It doesn't really matter. And these are my sort of hole gauge marks here. So we're going to go about there and about there. Again, doesn't really matter, but those are my two X marks the spot for my bolt holes. Now you can just fire a hole straight through here, and this will let me have a chunk of wood here to play with. This will bite in, that square edge will bite in there. I don't know if you can see that or not. The square edge will bite in there, chomp, and you'll end up with the head of the bolt proud there. But I'd like to tuck them in so they're below the surface. And so we're going to do that a little bit of an old school way. I'm going to take my mid-20th century Craftsman made in the USA with Bakelite handles, I think, or something similar to a Bakelite. Brace and bit. Now these things are a great tool. You can get them in a lot of flea markets, estate sales, Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace, whatever. Basically every household had a couple of these at some point, or had one of these at some point. So they aren't super rare, and they aren't super valuable. You could get one like this for probably under $20, and it has some great party tricks, and I'll show you. Mostly it's about control. So I have a little brace here for drilling. Keep this from wandering around too bad. It's mostly about control. So you can get this thing on the handle here, and that little screw at the end of the bit, called the worm, will draw it down in. And I'm just going to watch my depth as it goes, nice and slow and gentle. A little bit of a twist in here, only about 3 twists, maybe 4, 4.5. Pull that out. then we'll just check it with the head of our bolt. And you can see that that will go in there just below the surface. It's sort of like 4 or 5 turns. It's silent, it's easy to control, and it's actually a lot faster, a lot more efficient than you might think. Like this, wait for it to get into the cutting bits. Starting to score the wood fibers there now. I'm just going to try it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Unscrew. That might be a little shallow. I might want the 5th one. Yeah, I'll give it just another little, I think it wants about 4.5 or 5 turns. And since it screws itself through like a threaded screw, it's pretty consistent. There. I'll just take one more turn at it. Clean some of the debris out of there. Bam! Bolt head pockets. Super great. And because it does this threaded screw thing, it leaves this little hole. And what you can do with that hole, let me show you what to do with your hole, in case you were curious. You get a second bit that is about the size of your drill, the other thing, your bolt. Chuck that up in the old monkey. And then this little drill bit on the end, or this little screw bit at the end, the worm I think it's called, will just nestle into the same hole left by this one, and you have an automatic centering jig for the through hole. It's brilliant. Like that, and that's just in the pocket there. Woo! Easy. Get back over my brace. This one, and just try to keep it mostly vertical. Give her the old how you going. I can tell this bit is maybe less sharp than the last one, but you know, we're not all sharp all the time. And I can feel it poking out the bottom there. If I was doing finish work, I would flip this over and drill the last bit from the other side to keep it from tearing out, but where we're basically just doing rough framing, not super concerned. There. That, and a little bit of tear out there, that's okay. The leg is going to go behind here, so it doesn't matter too much. And now you have a lovely, and that will suck down below the surface when that square shank gets drawn into this sized hole. So that's the theory. Let me do the rest of these. Oh yeah, that's another good thing. I switched my bits there just for video, but when I did this on the other side rail, it only required one tool change. You go around and do your big pilot hole or head hole thing first, one tool change, boop, and you do your 4 through holes. These brace and bit things are really deeply underestimated in modern shops. Sure, the old cordless DeWalt lithium, pretty quick, but it doesn't give you this amount of control. Even cutting a big bit like this, pretty easy. So let me bang out the rest of these holes and then we'll do something else with it. I'll be back. Alright, so once again we have the old cheapy plastic speed square on the go. So I'm using my lines here that I did before to sort of line up. So you flip your speed, I'll do it on your side. Just flip your speed square over and put your end of it on this line. You can get yourself a line this way. And I am not quite need to be there. So this isn't super precise. I'm just trying to get her close. So I can see that this line drops down along the front of my leg, or the inside of my leg. This will be the front apron of the bench here, I think. Unless it turns out terribly, then this will be the back apron. So we're just going to ballpark this into place with the speed square. Going like this, and lining up the leg here, just to get her kind of pretty close. Yeah, somewhere around there. Kind of pretty close to flush here. Speed square is super useful because I will have top material laying on this surface here. So I want that even, just like I did the end piece even. So now that we know where this is relatively going to be, we bust out the antiques again. Just gently come in here and mark this hole with that little screw. Whew. So she's starting to move on me a little because it's balanced on a milk crate. But I know that that's enough to mark the hole. So let's back her off here. Not sure if you can see that or not. Let me show yous. Shows yous right there. So I'd guesstimated where the holes would go just wildly before. And this is, you can see the little pre-scoring. Another idea here is watch out for your screws. I was watching where these screws through this way go. So this should clear, and the other one should clear. Not get in the way of those. Now I can sturdy this a little better. Drill that hole through here, and I'll get back to you. And I will set this back up on my slightly padded milk crate rig. We should be able to whack a bolt through it. Where's me bolt hole? Where's me hole? There. Done. Not done at all. Okay. Let me get the hardware on this. It's a little longer than it needs to be, but it's totally harmless in there. Better than shorter. We'll get the hardware on that. Then I can put a little tension on this and use it to pivot and get the leg in square here, and then drill the second hole while it's holding on this bolt a bit. That's pretty close. Pretty close. I'm just going to sight my lines there a little bit. Yeah. It's probably as square as I'm going to get it. So we're just going to stab this in here. And now we have our hole marked. I could even drill it like this probably. Clear. There. Sometimes you got to back that bit up just to clear the thread out a little. Back her out. Come on. Put some decent up pressure on it. There we go. How's it come out of the hole? Not bad. A little bit of jam there. You could hear it at the end. Ouch! Sharp. No wonder this thing will cut wood. There we go. Just throwing a washer and a regular nut on the back. Alright, I suppose you could do like a nylock nut or something like that. But the intention is to glue these joints as well. So, you know, not that worried about the nut going anywhere. Just run her in finger tight. The old-fashioned socket on there. Watch this thing drop right into the hole. Watch me miss the nut. There we go. See that locking right in there. That's well below the surface now. I'm not going to drive it in super hard because again I may glue these joints. To do that I have to take this into the basement so that the glue doesn't freeze, but that's the idea. Now I have some more of this to prepare, and hopefully I'll have most of this done enough to glue up tonight, and then I'll have a standing frame to work on. That'll be really exciting. Anyway, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching. Remember, keep your stick on the ice, and electrical tape and Kleenex is the best shop band-aid going. Also, sharp tools are sharp. Check you later.